Hold on 1 second. It is currently 11:58 in the morning on Tuesday, June 18, 2024. So just giving you another example of what, again, the arrival of the light source, which is not the sun. This is a demonic environment where you see the light source directly above my head, where the light source still remains, and it is covered up under a supposed cloudy sky. None of this is the natural weather. This is not a natural environment. This is a demonic environment, and this is demonic activity that I'm surrounded by. And the state of California is practicing federal group stalking and monitoring. And I put it in such terms because this is demonic activity that's underway amongst a population that wants to present itself to the world, especially amongst other people in the country that are ignorant about the reality, the spiritual reality, and the fallacy, the reality of your freedom is actually an illusion, because you have what are people that are in this country and the government that's acting in concert with the people in this country to keep you under surveillance. And it's entirely demonic in every regard. Not only the environment that you're living in, surrounded by, and you've been conditioned to assume that this is the natural environment, that this is the weather, this is the natural progression of the weather and the climate based on what we are doing, contributing to, for example, pollution and whatnot, and how it's having an affect. And I'm not saying that you should pollute, you shouldn't. Okay, but what I am stating is that you have been given a narrative about what's going on in the environment, such as climate change, and it has nothing to do with that. I've shown what is the pattern of conduct and where the pattern of conduct is underway. In other words, it's a demonic environment where demonic activity, demonic behaviors are surrounding very targeted individuals for purposes of what is criminalized. It's federal stalking and federal group stalking and monitoring by a government that's actually practicing, engaged in the demonic. So this is not the natural environment where you're seeing the light source that's present all day long at one address, nor is that a random phone call in my office while that which is not the sun is hovering over my head. Gab Ruiz Ortega at 213-640-0260. Federal prison, by the way, for under the basis of federal stalking. It's a means of engaging in the elements of monitoring in concert with the state that's stalking in helicopter. It's relevant for surveillance while the demon-possessed population keep you under hovering, obsessive surveillance every move you make and everything you're doing on a communication device. Calling the telephone is a means of not only operating a communication device, which is relevant to Title 18, it's also pursuant to the demonic behavior of creating, that is stalking, that is creating with simultaneity, following what it is that I do, even on a communication device, with some method of activity creation. This is what demons are doing by maintaining presence in the laundry room at Alvarado Gardens. There are demons that are stalking in the path. There are demons that are stalking in the path in the specific environment. There are demons that are stalking in the path on behalf of the government who's stalking directly, which is what the helicopter activity is revealing. They're doing it in an unnatural environment where the light source just appears, and at whatever point in the day it appears over me, which is speaking to the conclusive evidence of federal stalking using the telephone in the workplace, federal stalking using the communication device, the emails that are sent pursuant to real-time concerted knowledge of everything that I'm doing in that specific environment, which is facilitating the maintenance of elements and surveillance on the venue of the internet as well. And while you're looking at the light source that's over me as I'm capturing it here, the entity is, by the way, I'm starting this video approximately 3 minutes ago, 11:59, 11:58, as I began reviewing this evidence on my phone, in the same way that the entity began sounding helicopter activity as I was capturing screenshots of Tiffany Sherez and of Carla Lopez and of the group stalker with license plate, let's see, who is very heavily documented, the Asian crew of third parties who are subject to federal prison and deportation. You know, if that applies, they are more than likely not natural born citizens. And they are heavily documented engaging in surveillance here, engaging in criminal summoning, engaging in a criminal conduct in concert with the state that stalks in helicopters, molesting me, terrorizing with directed light. And doing so, license 9, Daniel, Kevin, Frank 194. In the same way that I'm capturing that iteration of the P.O.C. this morning with simultaneity as I'm capturing those screenshots, what is the entity's pattern? The entity will engage in more stalking while it is both hostile because it's such an obsessed stalker. It's not only stalking me, but then watching what I'm exposing about it as it continuously is stalking me. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it is so deranged. And they're doing it in a demonic environment, which, by the way, is literally illustrative of the demented mind state. The demented environment is revealing what are the demented mind states of those who are stalking in that environment. Just want to point that out. Anyway, as I'm capturing this, the entity is sounding helicopter activity, just like I'm pointing out, as the entity was group stalking this morning in concert with speaker companies who are group stalking irrelevant position at the workplace. Okay, which is why Heather Till's going to federal prison and Don Noggle are going to federal prison. You have Carla Lopez group stalking, engaging in workplace terrorism, a sex offense while I'm being molested. As I capture all of that pattern of conduct, not only on video, in order to show you the concerted conduct and give you context with regard to what the entity is doing, the people of the state are doing, how they're maintaining the environment around me, pacing all around, in other words, like demons, while the entity is stalking in a helicopter and amplifying that volume of that helicopter while flying at a great distance. At the moment I begin capturing video of the people of the state, that's all the pattern of conduct showing what is very specific. Targeting regarding timing, targeting regarding amplified audible activity, targeting regarding location, okay? And doing so, the people of the state are targeting in the same regard. So that's what happened this morning. This is the ongoing POC. What I am documenting on my camera is the same pattern of conduct. The people of the state stalking in a laundry room. And let me be clear, being demon possessed, serving Satan, bowing to Satan, which will cause you to engage in the most despicable, disgusting, freak, weirdo behaviors, which are what group stalkers are. This is why you have people, instead of engaging in legitimate business, they're stalking in helicopters, which is not the show of mighty. There's nothing mighty behind that. It is entirely pathetic. I am so astronomically important to the demon-possessed group stalkers that are the LAPD and Dominic Choi. Okay, let me be clear. That demon knows exactly every time I utter his name, and he knows very well about what I told him is coming for him. He is indeed going to be federally prosecuted as a terrorist. He has lost his job forever in law enforcement, where he is providing for the rest of the nation and the world to understand terrorist organizations and who they operate under. And the chief of police is very much aware of the fact that the men and women of their respective law enforcement agency are fully engaged in 24-hour surveillance using helicopters. Nor can any chief of police reasonably contend, oh, I don't know anything about what they're doing in helicopters 24 hours a day, where the target individual is documenting amplified audible activity, flight repeatedly over their apartment, maintaining presence, just hovering outside of the window of the targeted individual, flying in circles for a prolonged period, such as 47 minutes. I have no knowledge about that, which is also within a pattern of conduct amongst multiple police departments, and what is a remarkably peculiar environment where the sun rises and sets at that same location, which is impossible to naturally occur. The entity is speaking to what is a pattern of conduct that the government is engaging in, and the people of the state are therefore in the shoes of the government while they are maintaining presence. That's mean they're stalking on behalf of the state. They are stalking and demonic methods on behalf of the state. And as I am showing you this light source that appears over the top of my head, and by appear, meaning this morning as I came down to my office and it was a cloudy day, okay, while you saw the cloudy day, all of this, and the entity is maintaining the elements of monitoring, they're all group stalking in the specific environment, stalking with methods of light, molesting my person while you want to obstruct my path so that you can touch on my body, being a stalker with the state. That's a sex offender who's going to be prosecuted, and that's the government that's going to be prosecuted, and everybody, including Nova contractors, every third-party group stalking, California Star Construction, they're going to walk away with very heavy sex offenses, with regard to what the government is doing through them. You're a sex offender, you're a terrorist, and you're a group stalker. And that's the truth of what they're doing. And that's what your criminal record is going to reflect, because that's actually what you're doing. So the entity is engaging in this while you're looking at a cloudy day. And what you already know about the environment, it's a demonic one. And where you have a sunrise and sunset at one address, so is the same exercise of what is the demonic when that light source is covered up, which is all that this is. And under no circumstances is it suggesting that the pattern of conduct is not underway. Okay, the entity is engaging in stalking in the same manner. These demons maintaining presence. Oh, she's coming downstairs. They know exactly where I'm at. This is tracking my steps, making sure that someone is maintaining presence in close proximity. They're all maintaining presence while they're group stalking, living in their apartments at the crime scene, Alvarado Gardens. The demons go out of their way to maintain presence on Alvarado Street in the parking lot, sitting in their cars, coming into the laundry room, pacing in and out for purposes of maintaining audible activity, light activity, and relevant positioning. The light source is covered up, and as I stated is the case, at no matter what point in the day the light source appears, whether it is 11 54 in the morning, where I am at the same location, by the way, my leasing office, capturing group stalking by Tina Ree in the laundry room. And I am showing the light source, for example, as I walk around from my office to the laundry room, and that light source moves over the top of my head, maintaining direct presence as I walk from my office door around the building to the laundry room, where a demon is group stalking in the path. This is with audible activity, slamming a machine. This is the pathetic posture that a demon possessed, a criminal, a third party, an agent of the state that's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, is engaging on the demonic behavioral pattern, slamming something, creating any method of noise, honking your horn like Lillian Barrera did last night while she's walking in engineered light. Her shadows are on both sides of herself, demonstrating demon possession, while LAPD flies over my apartment, interrupting my quiet enjoyment, by the way, which I'm going to prosecute speaker companies for. Because speaker companies, let me be clear, the people of the state are Lillian Barrera. Speaker companies, the people of the state, are Carla Lopez. Speaker companies, the people of the state, are Tina Ree. Speaker companies, the people of the state, are California Star Construction, who are maintaining presence in the path, in the specific environment, group stalking with the state, who are acting in concert with a method of activity creation and presence in the path while I am in operation of a communication device in my office. And the light source appears at 11 o'clock during this time. And where does it appear? It appears directly over the top of my head. And just as an aside, while I'm reviewing the evidence of where is the light source at or around the same time on June 23rd. We can use any date, same time of your analysis. I could go to June 24th, June 22nd, but let's just stick with June 23rd, okay? Equally probative. There is, again, no point under any circumstances that the sun is ever going to arrive or create this light activity, which is the pattern of conduct. That's called engineered light. As I'm documenting, and let me be clear, they're collecting blood. And this is what the entity thinks, that you can engage in some sort of activity that's supposedly noble or good for the public, or if you're wearing a badge, if you're affiliated with the fire department, if you are driving an ambulance, an EMT, that there is some other explanation that is legitimate. In other words, legitimizing what are the demonic elements of monitoring. And there is no exception. That's why you see impossible light on the sidewalk, on the ground, while the light source is directly over the top of my head as I'm walking around this vehicle capturing the pattern of conduct. This is in Rancho Cucamonga on Foothill Boulevard. This is at what is, let's see, around 12 o'clock. Okay, I'm capturing the light source over me at 11:55. This is 11:51 after getting off of Route 61, coming from the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court at 8303 Haven Avenue, where the entity was stalking, flying over my head in helicopters while the light source is directly over the top of my head, while I'm at that courthouse, while I am at that venue, in the same way that you're looking at it doing here, remaining here while I'm in Los Angeles as it arrives. And I put that in air quotes because the light source doesn't go anywhere during the day. You're talking about what are the demon possessed who are exposed. And so the entity will abruptly cover up the light source. And it's not a cloudy day. This is a demonic environment, and these are demon possessed group stalkers. The light source is covered up, and at any point it's unveiled, it's right over the top of my head. And this is not capable of being over anywhere near the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court while I'm on Route 61 coming from that courthouse. So let's be clear. Let's take a good gander at what we're observing here. The light source that's over my head as I am walking around the building. So let's go back to, I'm sorry, because I want you to see again what the entity is doing while I get on the bus and go to get on Route 61 Omnitrans, a documented group stalker who is going to the drivers that I documented acting with the Ontario police. They're going to federal prison. I documented them by image, by video. I documented them by employee number. I documented them by license plate. They are being documented while the LAPD is stalking me under a fake sun in concert with the people. And I told them then that they're going to federal prison. Okay? That same entity, Omnitrans, is the same group stalker. It's the people of the state as Tina Ree, who's group stalking under the fake sun in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens where the sun sets. Okay, now by virtue of use of that language, we are understanding the use of the verbiage that I utilize for a deliberate purpose. It's a light source that is not the sun speaking to the natural environment. And there is no sun that's going to be over my head while I walk outside of my office at 11:55, and that which is supposedly the sun is over my head while I am getting off of Route 61, getting on Route 61 at 11:41. The light source is directly over the top of my head, documenting a group stalker on Foothill Boulevard after documenting the pattern of conduct at the 8303 Haven Avenue Courthouse in Rancho Cucamonga. And as I board that bus and get off at 11:51, this is the bus I was riding. This is the light source that's over my head as I continue on Day Creek and Foothill and walk up toward the Paul Bryan Library, which again is sharing no sky space while the light source is over the top of my head. We've got 11:55. As I walk out of my office and, as I walk out of my office and walk around to the laundry room side, pay attention as I step. That light source, you see the building moving. This is speaking to my physical movement. I am, I am walking around the building to the laundry room area, and this light source, step by step, in the same way when I'm on the bus, street by street, turn for turn, which again, a grand departure from that. When I'm in Los Angeles, there's no sun that's ever going to be seen through the window of the Omnitrans bus routes at all times of the day, regardless of what direction I'm going, when the entity is present over my head in its zenith with a light source that's so hovering, so detailed, so specific to my location. Even as I walk to the opposite side of the same building, you see this light source remain directly over me, where I'm documenting the people of the state that are stalking inside of the laundry room. As I begin reviewing this evidence of the same time of year analysis, immediately the entity starts sounding helicopter activity. This is what I documented yesterday while Sang Lee was group stalking inside of the laundry room, if you'll recall with me. Coming downstairs, this is the location of the light source, by the way, at 5:04 yesterday. You're looking at what's the light source that's remaining over me right now over the top of my head. This is the same leasing office location. And as I walk from my office, you can't really see it with that. As I walk from my office and this is the same laundry room. The light source is over me at 5:04 p.m. as I'm walking from my office to the laundry room area, and I'm actually walking to my apartment, but I'm taking the same path. And you're looking at the maintenance of the light source. Right now it's 11 o'clock in the morning. 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'm showing you the same maintenance of the light source. 11, just so that you can be clear. 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 hours from now, the light source, which is not the sun, remains over me at the same property as I take the same path from my office toward my apartment. This is the same path where I'm passing, and at 4 o'clock, the light source is on this side. It's on this side of me. Right now, the light source is on the opposite side of it's on the top of my head. At 4 o'clock, it progresses to be on this side at the same location, just on this side of my face. Do you understand? That's called stalking with the fake sun. And at no point in the day ever is the sun over any bus Route 61. It's never over the intersection of Foothill and Day Creek at this time of day in this position over anyone. It's over me as I'm coming from the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, the bus stop on Foothill Boulevard, getting off at the bus stop of Day Creek and Foothill at 11:51. And as I walk up what is Day Creek, going toward the Paul Bryan Library, passing by the Victoria Gardens, where the light source remains after 5 p.m., as I reminded you, and the people of the state are group stalking in a parking garage, an engineered light creating multiple shadows flashing all about while the people of the state are pacing all around me, not walking, not traffic, group stalking, an engineered light under a light source that's still over me, in the same way that up here in Los Angeles, it's still over me as I document it into the evening. This is 5 o'clock, and this is where I'm at right now. This is the pattern of conduct, and it's step by step, every move that I make, following with a fake sun into what is to be in alignment with me as I am at my apartment where the sun then sets. But what Tina Reed just engaged in is exactly what I documented Sang Lee engaging in yesterday. If you'll recall, my walking downstairs, this is in the morning, my walking downstairs from my apartment in order to get, this was me coming from my apartment yesterday at 2:32 in the afternoon. And literally, this is the same path. This is the laundry room. That's the laundry room. The light source is over my head right now in the same manner as I am walking to the entrance to document Tina Reed, who's group stalking in the laundry room right now at 11. This is documented yesterday at 2:32 in the afternoon. You have California Star Constructions who are group stalking in plain view. They are not engaging in any business. This is the malice with which a demon-possessed population who are engaged in what is a matter of public corruption are in your face, albeit trying to secretly keep you under surveillance with the government. You can keep your back to the target individual. You can look to the left and right. You can carry something in your hand. You can be talking on your phone. It's maintenance of the elements of monitoring in that readily identifiable environment, which is entirely unnatural, which is revealing the unnatural condition, which is therefore becoming legally relevant while the government practices demonic methods of keeping you under surveillance. And it includes stalking in the path with audible activity creation. This demon, going by the name of Tina Ree of 1802 apartment number 1, is group stalking while I'm inside of my office by myself. The light source is directly over my head, which is how you know what Tina Ree is and what she's doing, by the way. And everyone else in relevant position, like I continue to document, engaging in the pattern of conduct, not engaging in any lawful behavior or operation of a business or anything else legally irrelevant that the people of the state will claim in federal court when they are sentenced to federal prison. All right, the entity is maintaining the specific environment while I am inside of the apartment, and I want to remind you about what Sangley was engaging inside of the same laundry room hours from now at 2:33, where the light source, as I walk the same path from my apartment, and that light source remains over me at the same property. I'm at the same property at 2:32 in the afternoon. I walk downstairs, this light source, in the same way that you see it as I'm walking from my office right now to the laundry room, it's remaining over the top of my head. The same pattern, which under no circumstances is shared with my location getting on Route 61 on June 23rd, leaving the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, but yet you're seeing the same pattern of what is a light source that's remaining over my head, replete with what is engineer light, which is what you already know is present at Alvarado Gardens amongst the people of the state. And the entity is engaging in what is maintaining a very specific environment. This is all documentation of the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court and all of the people of the state who are group stalking, including out of Panera Bread. You can name the venue or minion. Both of them apply. I was combining that word actually. The venue. Sorry. Anyway, I'll digress. You can name the minion, name the venue, same criminal pattern of conduct. Target is group stalking. Panera Bread is group stalking. The people of the state that go inside of those venues are group stalking, meaning everybody working at Target, everybody working at Panera Bread, everybody consuming what those third-party facilitating venues sell as product. State surveillance is underway, and that's how you have what is impossible, that the sun is over me at those venues. And you have what is also not occurring, that they are engaging in what is just a pattern that just so happens to be pursuant to that demonic feature. Every move I make, everything I'm doing on my cell phone, there's an ongoing soundtrack that coexists with it, while this, which is not possibly the natural environment, is coexisting with that. This is exposing what is a system that's in operation. And June 23rd is the date that I did heavily document the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. And the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court is nothing other than vividly illustrating for you what is a statewide system, what is the all levels of corruption, including up to the courthouse. And I've also documented through court paperwork the facilitation by the appellate court level and the California Supreme Court, facilitating federal group stalking and monitoring. And it starts with the corrupt terrorist organizations who are masquerading as law enforcement agencies on the world scene, where we are nothing distinct from these third world countries who are acting with minor children, teaching them to engage in terrorism and wanting to maintain the very malicious and deceptive appearance of dignified, professional, civilized society. And we couldn't be far from that. Look at the barbaric behavior of Tiffany Sherez with her teenage daughters and her little children. Group stalking with your kids. You are procreating for the criminal purposes of the state of California. You're literally a terrorist and you're breeding terrorists. And that's just a very raw breakdown of the people of the state who belong in cages. Yes, they belong in cages. This is outright criminal conduct, lawlessness that's occurring in the U.S., and they're doing it, by the way, it's demonic in the name of Satan. There is nothing, in other words, let me get back to the pattern of conduct. There is nothing that is shared with amongst a natural environment while the light source is remaining over me as I document my maintenance of the maintenance of the light source over me in Rancho Cucamonga, coming nowhere near Los Angeles at no point in time. And in fact, which is what you see above, while the light source remains over me at the same laundry room that I'm walking past hours from now. at 2:33, and who is group stalking, engaging in the same thing that Tina Ree is doing, using a means of audible activity pursuant to my physical movement that is at the same time, while that which is a scientific impossibility coexists with that demonic behavior, where the entity is heavily stalking in helicopters on an ongoing basis as you document that phenomenon, which is what the LAPD represent and what they are routinely engaging in, acting with the people. All right, they're engaging in that together, which is speaking to why Heather Teal is going to federal prison. Shall I scream it out more to the top of my lungs? Because she's going. That's exactly where she's going. She's going to federal prison. Okay, Don Noggle going to federal prison. Referencing the demon possessed, there will under no circumstances ever be any demon that will threaten my employment while you're group stalking me on the job and trying to require me to cease from speaking the truth about what you are and what you're doing. Contrary to that, I will make sure the world understands that you in every way serve Satan, and it is further illustrated by those who lack the spiritual discernment to see you in the spirit. Your malice exhibits your demon possession in the specific environment where you are much aware of that criminal conduct that's being documented, because you're engaging in surveillance on the internet as well and masquerading as a legitimate company operating a legitimate business under some constitutional right that you don't have to engage in stalking in a specific environment with the state of California. So this is what's relevant with regard to what Sang Lee was engaging in. And as I document her group stalking in the laundry room at 2:33, the same laundry room where the light source is over my head right now at 11 o'clock, at 2:33, it's still at the same position over my head. That's exactly what you're seeing while I'm documenting Tina Ree today outside of the same laundry room at 11:55. Okay, because you saw a cloudy sky this morning as I walked outside of my apartment, it's the same pattern of conduct. These demons are maintaining presence, molesting my body with light. Be clear, they're going to be prosecuted as the sex offenders that they are, while they want to engage in doing so maliciously under the name of companies, speaker companies, doing so under the malicious guise of engaging in work, California Star Construction, Crossing Path, Light Source, Maintenance of Presence, the entity just having a field day stalking in helicopters. Nothing different from the criminal pattern of conduct. You're understanding what public corruption in the United States looks like. Wanting to maintain a face of dignity and civilization, and these animals are nothing close to that. And they're being referred in such terms, not because I get a kick out of calling people names, but because I'm calling out what is criminal conduct, and it is satanic. Okay, even more so, they're not just robbing banks because they can't afford to feed their families, which again, I don't support or advocate for criminal conduct. But there's nothing honorable about it. It's because they're animals, and they seek to engage in that, and they have the audacity to try to silence American citizens who will fully exercise her constitutional rights under the document that still exists, and it's still relevant. Okay, we're not at a time yet where the government can't and is in every way removing the constitutional rights. We're not at that point yet. So they still exist on the books, and I'm going to exercise my rights under them. And I'm going to prosecute literally the hypocritical government that is the state of California, and that population who are the people of the state, by the way, who are showing their own demon possession in their own demonic system, showing what is the not so free world that I am living in California. And while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct, it's currently 12:26 p.m. and I want you to look at what the entity is maintaining over me at 12:01 while I'm at Victoria Gardens. I'm going toward the Paul Bunyan Library. Matter of fact, that's exactly where I continue to go, and every step I'm capturing the maintenance of a light source, and I'm showing you what is just systematic maintenance of presence. The light source moves over my head. Oh, just like you see here, every step that I take, everybody in their apartment is maintaining presence. Everybody on the grounds wanting to appear as though they're focused on engaging in some activity. That's a psychopath, by the way, whose mental illness is no longer a secret. It is made manifest while they are engaging what is, first of all, demonic, and also engaging what is highly criminal on behalf of a corrupt government in an environment that is entirely impossible to naturally occur, but for the supernatural, but for Satan, in other words, who is present, and you are able to witness it through the environment and through the behavioral patterns of those in that environment. Stalking with activity, stalking in the path, amongst the engineered light, crossing path while engineered lights ricocheting off of buildings. And that has nothing to do with the sun. Opening up your car door has nothing to do with engineered light that's going to appear on the asphalt. That's a demon-possessed group stalker, in the same way that this is a demon-possessed group stalker inside of a laundry room who knows engages in the uncanny ability, in other words, to create loud amplified noise while in a different room away from me physically, and yet creating that ongoing pattern of soundtrack that coexists with what I'm doing both on a phone or on a laptop, a computer, desktop, whatever it is, and also while I am physically moving. So if I began sitting on the floor, for example, I just want to sit on the floor, which I would never do, this floor is filthy, but the entity, and then all of a sudden, after sitting on the floor for about 14 minutes, and I just decide I'm going to stand up now, that would be a new movement. And after I engage in what is new movement, abrupt new movement, immediately activity is created. As I begin documenting, while the entity wants to communicate a threat, but let me be clear, demons monitoring you is a threat. The entity will go out of its way to threaten by virtue of its knowledge that you're documenting, and then you engage in what are the elements of monitoring through such aforementioned methods of group stalking, such as via law enforcement agencies, which is the communication of the highest threat. Oh, the entity, these dark angels in LA, they like to heavily threaten through these terrorist organizations. And they're going to be met with what is the outright removal of those terrorist organizations who think that they are so far above the law, so glamorized or on the world scene that nobody would ever remove the LAPD. That's what they think. The entity is engaging in what is amplifying helicopter activity, as I just so happen to be documenting on my phone, which no one's supposed to be knowing what I'm doing on my phone. It's not like I'm holding it up. Tina Reed, say cheese. I need you to take a picture. But you have the pattern of creating audible activity, and doing so communicating the highest form of a threat by a demon stalking in helicopters in that specific environment also. This is what the entity is doing on an ongoing basis. Tina Reed is indeed going to federal prison. She's acting pursuant to the same pattern of conduct. This level of malice, this level of psychotic conduct that's shared amongst a people, is something that an ordinary targeted individual should not be subject to. It is not designed for the average person to be able to deal with or understand or stand up against. It is designed, if you will, literally to take you out. That's what it's designed for. That's why you engage in it. And because of the weight of the criminal act by the state of California, and Tina Reed is the state of California, she's not exercising any privacy rights. This psychopath, this demon, isn't even focused on actually doing laundry. She's in here to engage in surveillance and stalking in a demonic method. That's what she's in here for, which all of the property of Alvarado Gardens, they're engaging in all of their methods of engaging in the elements of monitoring. They're a demon-possessed community, and all 59 units are going to be facing time in federal prison. And the more I document, the more the federal judge that's going to give justice. You're talking about what I have already substantiated through the weight of the evidence, the ongoing progressive enhancement of federal charges, the progressive enhancement of sentencing. I don't want them going to federal prison for just 6 months. I want them going to federal prison for years. And this is supported by the evidence. So the entity is engaging in this conduct, and the entity does so with knowledge of the fact that it is being documented. And at this environment, in the specific environment, which is what this is, while the entity is monitoring documentation, I went through all of that to show you what the entity is maintaining right now at 12:30. The light source is here, and you already know that it stays here because that's what you see as I'm walking to my apartment at 5 o'clock, and it's still in alignment to me at the same property. This is the P.O.C. All right, that is indeed the P.O.C. California Star Construction, Speaker Companies, Carla Lopez, the third-party group stalker of 1814, number 3, I believe is her name, engaging in ongoing terrorism in concert with Center for Better Life. She is crossing path right now under a light source, living at a crime scene, doing so under the malicious guise that you think because I don't speak English or I don't know this African-American woman, I can't even speak her language. I'm bent over, I can barely walk. This is what Satan thinks that it can engage in and reflect in the natural, in the flesh. And it's supposed to be some distraction or some rebuttal to or some contradiction of the state's pattern of conduct. And it is absolutely legally irrelevant. As I break down the law to you, as I break down the formula for what Satan is doing amongst the people in a population, and all the ways in which Satan is counting on you to be distracted by what you see on the veil. When you're not looking beneath the veil, in other words. Relying on somebody's race, relying on somebody's physical handicap, relying on somebody's age, it's only relevant for purposes of showing how far and how pathetic a people are. You're 17 years old, you should be looking into going to college somewhere instead of group stalking someone. You're already on the wrong path. You're engaging in a criminal conduct with the government. That's very troubling. That's very troubling. And we are not in some third world country where you cannot take advantage of the opportunities afforded you in the US. But that's conduct like what third world countries will be consumed with, not going to college, but being consumed with terrorism, terrorizing populations for whatever cause they do it, in whoever name they call themselves doing it in. I want to be clear. Whatever these third world, whatever name that they give it, it's the same entity, it's the same Satan. Okay, they serve Satan. Satan has different names in different parts of the world. It's the same spirit. And here in America, these demons, they like to call in the name of maintaining the illusion of freedom, in the name of maintaining the illusion of civility and being dignified. Couldn't be far from that while you're carrying your Gucci bag and having 1,000 or 15,000 followers on Facebook. You're group stalking Erica Lorraine Spencer, serving Satan. All right, so I just want to point that out. It is currently 12:33 p.m. and there is no sun that's going to, as you see it over my head, as you see it over my head in the same manner 2 hours from now, after 2:30, exactly what you saw Sang Lee engaging in concert with that same entity stalking in helicopters, while this light source remains in alignment to me well into the evening at the same property, and doing so, just is exactly what I'm documenting. Which is not sunlight that's appearing on my ceiling in my bedroom, not going to be the sun that's still over the same property, which is what you see at 546. You can see it through the windshields on the same property. This is no iteration of the natural environment. These are a demon-possessed population. They're group stalking on Alvarado. They're group stalking at Silverview Townhomes, just like I showed you on video this morning. But as I'm literally capturing the pattern of conduct, and the entity is obsessively stalking, while engineer light is then like a laser shooting inside of the depths of my bedroom, onto the floor and onto the ceiling, doing while the entity is doing what on an ongoing basis? Stalking in helicopters. LAPD is repeatedly flying over my apartment and this is captured at what is 8 o'clock in the evening. I want you to pay attention to the environment, as though the remnants of a sunset that's in alignment with me, having nothing to do with the natural environment. The entity is indeed group stalking. This is no sunset. This is you're understanding the presence of Satan, the demonic environment that surrounds. The demon possessed are consumed with maintaining presence, and they're doing so while this engineered light, this engineered environment is remaining present 24/7. This is also what you're witnessing while the entity is group stalking by helicopter at night. Okay, Ty Lee and his sons are outside group stalking just like they are during the day with universal waste. And what you see while Ty Lee and his son have shadows on both sides of their person, you'll see the light activity that they're playing ball in while the entity amplifies helicopter activity. Still group stalking 24/7. And the entity is group stalking. Kim will give you an up-close version of the light activity that they're playing ball in. His shadow is both to the side, to the side of him and in front of him. All right, and I want to make sure that you see this. This light, the shadow's in front. Pay attention to it. It'll appear on his left side. There it is on the side. This is not light activity that's caused by any street lamps. Okay, this is engineered light that the demon-possessed population are maintaining presence in 24/7, including while they fill both my office and my apartment, which is the private space where a sex offense by the state of California in concert with the people remains ceaselessly underway. That is, every time I pull my panties down, it's a matter of public information. That is an exceedingly violent sex offense, which barbarians such as Tiffany Sherez like to participate in with her minor children. This is the pattern of conduct. This is engineered light. His shadow's moving now to the opposite side of his person. Pay attention. This is what's occurring at nightfall, moving to both sides of him while the shadow remains in front of him. This is called light activity, while the entity is at the same time sounding helicopter activity. This is the entity that's acting in concert with the people. That's the the lit environment where Ty Lee is playing with his adult sons, who are heavily documented group stalkers. Okay, they're doing so with impunity because they also know that they're being documented. All right, the entity doing so repeatedly, as I documented heavy helicopter activity last night. This is LAPD group stalking, 6 o'clock in the morning. Oh, that's this morning. Which is relevant, but I want you to see what I documented last night. The entity flying directly over my head, and then doing so while I know where that's at. These are screen recordings because I was informing, and I'm just going to do this to make my point, and then I will conclude this video. The entity is engaging in group stalking. Here we go. While I am, let me give context. While they're monitoring what I'm doing on my phone, while I am trying to use my, as I was pointing out, using an app. This is relevant. These details are only relevant because the entity engages in the elements of monitoring pursuant to what I do as I do it. And the state of California is fully exposed as a stalker. This is fully exposing the people of the state who are stalking, and they are demon possessed stalkers who are hostile to being exposed. Let me be clear. No hostile demon is going to stop its federal prosecution. So trying to proscribe speech while in the shoes of the state, that's unlawful. That's an unlawful attempt to proscribe speech. The government is not going to restrict your speech maliciously through the people of the state. While it is a third party group stalking with the state, trying to tell you what you can and cannot speak on. That's a threat to your life, by the way. So let's put it in even more vivid terms. The stalker that is hunting you down day and night, threatening your life inherently in doing so, a pervert that's keeping you under surveillance, including while your panties are down inside of any private space. They're always there trying to get in the bathroom, to be with you, next to you, near you, to be around you. You see them, you step outside of the bathroom, there they are right there stalking 24/7, a sex offender and a stalker, which is also terrorizing to you. And then that stalker has the audacity to tell you and threaten you, you better not tell anybody that I'm stalking you. You better not tell anybody that I am consumed with what you're doing when you're nude, and how obsessively consumed I am with what you're doing when you don't even have a... That's literally what the government is saying through the mouths of people like Heather Teal, who are going to federal prison. This is the entity monitoring me while I'm in a use of my phone. The specific environment remains. They're pacing all around in engineered light, stalking with methods of audible activity. That is honking a horn while that demon knows that I moved my knee, which nobody could see. Simultaneity of conduct, that's demonic. In the engineered light, that's demonic. In concert with the demons that are stalking in helicopter, the demons are acting in concert.
This is LAPD stalking by helicopter. That's people that stay crossing path and engineered light on a skateboard. That's relevant position.
That's concerted conduct, crawling all around in the engineered light. The state that's stalking in helicopters needs the assistance of the people of the state who are all around me on the grounds, maintaining activity.
Audible activity. And while the entity flies directly over my apartment, and they're monitoring what I'm doing online. I'll show you right now. Heather Teal's going to federal prison.
She is indeed going to federal prison. The entity is stalking in the path, and that this is maintenance of presence in the path with a method of light. Very demonic. Okay, engaging in what is a sex offense, keeping somebody under surveillance inside of their private space on behalf of the government, in concert with the government, crossing path, and any random demon can come onto the property and engage in that. That's exactly what they do. All right. This is why you have a fake sun over the property all day long, for the whole population to participate and act together as one. And then the entity is engaging. As I go through this discussion, I eventually move my person. I move my knee, which nobody can physically see. I don't speak to that while I'm recording the video. And with simultaneity to that, a demon that's already engaged in surveillance, maintaining presence in the event that movement is needed of some sort. The demons are always ready, always in position. Okay, that's lying in wait conduct. This demon, whose shadows are behind her and to the side, just like I stated, perpendicular shadows, engages in the following.
The fake sun while engineered light moves across the Silverview Townhomes apartment building as well. This entire property is filled with third parties, 35 units, filled with terrorists and sex offenders, and they're monitoring, engaging the sex offense right now with the state that's hovering over me.
That's Silverview that is crossing path with a method of light activity. They're not exercising any private right. They're not coincidentally or ignorantly. They're engaging in the elements of monitoring. You know that because the sun rises and sets, the entity just flew over my apartment. The entity's acting, they're all in engineered light. You're driving your car in the engineered environment. You're a group stalker. So you're understanding
around in helicopters. All the entity did was fly over in helicopter. They didn't go anywhere. That's how they're able to engage in what is knee-jerk conduct with simultaneity to what I do or physically move. They are sounding helicopter activity and flying over. Okay, that's
what I literally just pointed out is exactly what Lillian Barrera engages in. And this demon honks the horn of her vehicle with the simultaneity to my movement of my right knee. Okay, so as I engage in a new movement, the sound of the horn honks. Then she is crossing paths. She maintained presence at that position the whole time as I'm capturing video of LAPD flying over my apartment, flying over my head, in other words. And you already know that the state is a stalker. All you are learning are all the ways in which a population is acting in concert with that government, and it's all demonic. All of their behavior is pursuant to ongoing demonic knowledge regarding my physical movement. How does a demon know that I am moving inside of my office when you're nowhere around me? How does a demon know that I'm moving my knee when I'm physically inside of my apartment? You can't see my knee through outside of my window. All right. How do they know? How do you have a light source that's over my head at one property for the duration of the day? And how do you ever contend that it's also over the Paul Bunyan Library at the same time at any point in the day? How do you have a sun rise and set while I'm inside of one apartment at the same address all day? These are demons, and they have, while they are demon possessed, they are engaged in stalking someone who is not demon possessed. That's myself. And this is the reality of what a population, now you're bringing what is terrorism by a demon-possessed population into the courtroom to prosecute what the government is doing. Because unfortunately, in California, in the US, you have a demon-possessed population. They're in the role of government. They're politicians. They are lawyers. They are also, breaking it down, they're part of the public who have children, who are working in the medical field. They are driving fire trucks and ambulances and police vehicles. They are chief of police. They are literally the population that surrounds you. And that's also illustrated through the unnatural environment. So this
Even that's honking their horn as I move my knee in my apartment. Engaging in surveillance, having...
Oops. And then she engages in walking in the parking lot, and her shadow is both behind her and beside her. This is light activity creation. That is not light activity that's created by any street lamp. And the simultaneity of that audible activity creation, which is also revealing what was the purpose of maintaining strategic placement. This is surveillance conduct. This is what they're doing in the laundry rooms, slamming machines with simultaneity to my activity in concert with the same entity that is stalking in helicopters. The same exact pattern of conduct on a 24-hour basis, acting in concert with the same entity. That is the state of California. That is indeed a group stalker. That is indeed a terrorist, not distinct from terrorists in third world countries, acting with minor children, acting with the people in that society. This is under the guise of what's supposed to be some civilized state in the United States, and it is not. Could not be farther from the truth. Okay, what's also relevant is because not only is this a government going to be prosecuted, this population going to be prosecuted, every aspect of my violation, there are a lot of laws that the government is simultaneously violating, including federal housing laws, while the people of the state are engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring in the workplace, and the workplace happens to be relevant to the provision of federal housing, the provision of housing for the American public. And so you're engaging in what is, as a property management company, that is a participant in federal housing programs, such as Section 8 recipients who are engaging in criminal conduct. Yeah, they're never getting Section 8 again. You're not getting any federal housing benefits. I don't care if you're 87 years old, engaging in terrorism, you are done. That's it. That's exactly what's going to happen. And you will never, in the same way, federal group stalking and monitoring shall be just added onto the list of criminal acts. If it's found on your record, you are permanently disqualified, in addition to property owners. Let me be clear. Speaker companies, Todd Speaker, a documented group stalker, you will not be qualified to participate in federal housing programs like they are right now, while their criminal conduct is being literally systematically itemized. In the same way that they're systematically group stalking, their whole system is being exposed. And Heather Teal, I'll say it again, because she's going to federal prison. All right, the same malice with which you engage in this criminal system, there will be let me be clear, the federal prosecution, that intensity, it's going to be commensurate with that level of malice that you apply. No one's going to forget that. No federal judge, let me be clear, it's my job to make sure I articulate all the ways in which a federal judge shall not, under federal law, in any way lessen what is necessary with regard to the people of the state engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. It is currently 12:46 p.m. and the light source remains over me in the same way that it still remains over me at the end of the day, which is exactly what I documented. This is what the light source is still here after 5 p.m. and it's over my head right now at the same exact location. I'm inside of the same building. This is the laundry room, which is on the opposite side of my office. I'm stepping out at 5 o'clock. This is exactly where the so-called sun remains. That's the pattern of conduct. Everybody that lives at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison, but Silverview Townhomes is going to be met with prosecution. The people of the state coming onto the ground, Smart Janitorial, the people of the state, Jose and Sons Landscaping. By the way, Smart Janitorial engaging in federal stalking, calling my office. That's audible activity creation, while all of the entity is aware that it's being documented as I'm in operation on my cell phone. Speaker companies that are literally the crime scene, criminally facilitating the pattern of conduct engaged in, amazing levels of hypocrisy in the role of a property management company violating federal housing laws that govern the ways in which they're supposed to do their job while you're a group stalker in the shoes of the state. It's just, it's amazing. It's profound. That's the only thing that is mind-blowing about group stalkers. Everything else, it is absurd with regard to the level of how pathetic a human being is made when you serve Satan, and all the ways in which you're going to serve the penalties here on earth for engaging in such service to Satan, which is using a population to keep American citizens under surveillance in violation of your constitutional human rights. It is currently 12:47 p.m. and this is POC.